So in this video, the peculiar phonetics traits of China English are attempted to be explained, although they are still in their infancy. Language, words, and phrases have been extremely important in cross-cultural encounters. Although it is still in its infancy and trying to be better, perfect itself, it is presently doing its best to move, obtain acceptance in the English family, and gain global certainty. Let's proceed first to the introduction. So, the introduction is it is a generally acknowledged that the information technology revolution is causing the conventional boundaries between human cultures to dissolve. A big human melting pot is what our society, politics, cultures, and economics all belong to. And there is no such thing as a monolingual country, and it's a natural for people to come into contact with not just one language but many, which unavoidably leads to communication problems. So, Yano claims that a global language franca should be uniform language is incorrect. The term "glocal", which combines the words global and local, was coined by just Okushima to define modern English in terms of openness, internationality, and local self-identity. This is because English has become more diverse as a result of the English language's globalization. China English, which has distinctive phonological, lexical, grammatical, and discourse characteristics, has been essential in fostering cross-cultural exchanges and is now making great strides toward fostering confidence and recognition on a worldwide level. So let's proceed to China English, a variety standard. So Castro divided them into three groups in the form of three concentric circles. The inner circle, where people speak English as their native language. The outer circle, where people speak it as a second language. The third one is expanding, where people speak it as a foreign language. So, according to Li and Yang, China's standard form of English was initially either British or American English, which is currently acknowledged as the only two varieties of the language. Many countries proclaim their language to be independent, portraying them as equal variation to British and English, American English. So according to Li Xiaohua and Yang Shuailong, the reason for any language to exist is its functional value, and China English can meet communicative purpose in the exchange between China and the world. So let's proceed to the four distinctive features. So the first one is distinctive features at the level of phonology. The second one is distinctive features at the level of vocabulary. Third, distinctive features at the level of sentence. And lastly, distinctive features at the level of text and discourse. So what is the meaning of distinctive features at the level of phonology? According to Peter Roach, so the concept of standard receipt pronunciation is a handy fabrication, not a scientific. And according to Bowen Cable, only the most intelligent and skilled students use perceived pronunciation, which is more of a class than a local dialect. So even the lectures of cassettes and given by professor, which were once thought of as standard, are not always utilized. So, in terms of syllables, stress, tone, and intonation, each English variety has its own suprasegmental characteristics and primary characteristic that will be inevitable convey that the speaker's nationality identity. So the second one means distinctive features at the level of vocabulary is we all know that languages can survive in isolation but instead should always enclose content with another. Various factors such as colonization, migration, trade, scientific or art exchange and the like. So no language are sufficient into themselves. Therefore, linguistics varying must be considered an inevitable necessity, and also on the way becoming to a global lingua franca. English has borrowed a large amount of the words of Chinese, and some of them become part of parcel of the English language. So, lack of paper equivalent into native English may be an important factor of a vocabulary borrowing, just as as Huayon painted, loan words may show superiority of the nation from whose language they are borrowed. So the fourth one is distinctive. The third one is distinctive features at the level of sentence. The so Since beauty is not a property but an effect of each language has its own manner of achieving beauty, various sentence various sentenced um various sentence patterns in different languages might provide the same aesthetic outcome. There are connected free sentences in Chinese because to them the logical relationship between two phrases is sometimes self-evident and may be perceived and understood. Example: one for all for one couple, one child, one country, two system. So in China, English sentences can occasionally be made more clear and brief by leaving off even subjects. Example: very glad to see you. Long time no see. And lastly, distinctive features at the level of text and discourse means that text and distinct style of language is largely determined by the world outlook, philosophical view of value system, and thinking patterns, which vary from nation to nation. So there are distinct differences in the Chinese culture and Western ways of viewing, thinking, and expressing for being direct and explicit. As according to Eng Home, Chinese communicate less directly and less explicitly, having originated from agricultured village societies. They communicate in a manner conducive to what intercultural communication students call an implicit social environment. In such groups, much of what needs to be communicated can be simplified some simply be implied rather than stated explicitly. So Chinese writers favor the implicit way to produce the aesthetic beauty, since beauty cannot be achieved without enough room for imagination and expectation.